So I call to order the January 13, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. I'm going to ask everyone to bear with me while I read a prepared statement. In accordance with Utah's Open and Public Meetings Act, I have determined that conducting meetings of the Provo City Planning Commission with an anchor location, such as the council chambers, presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present there. These are the facts upon which I have made this determination. The World Health Organization has classified novel coronavirus disease, aka COVID-19, as a pandemic. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention state that COVID-19 is easily spread from person to person between people who are in close contact with one another. Utah is currently subject to Utah Public Health Order 2020-26, which limits the size of public gatherings and which requires people to wear face coverings and follow social distancing guidelines. Utah County is currently listed as having a high level of coronavirus transmission. Physical distancing measures will be difficult to set up and maintain in the council chambers and other meeting rooms. Therefore, for the next 30 days, all meetings of the Provo City Planning Commission will be conducted entirely via electronic means. Meetings are broadcast live and available later on demand at youtube.com/user/Provo Channel 17 and at facebook.com/Provo Channel 17. Agendas and support materials are available at provo.org/planning commission. To make a public comment or join a meeting via telephone, follow the instructions provided on public notices of each meeting. To send comments to the Provo City Planning Commission members or weigh in on current issues, email them at dspublichearings@provo.org. Whew. Okay, moving on. We will be taking action tonight on two agenda items. Both are public hearings. One is a concept plan approval request for an 8-lot residential subdivision located at 950 West, 1020 South. The other is a zone change from residential agricultural to R17 for approximately 1.8 acres located at that same location, 950 West. I may have misspoke earlier. That's 1020 South. And with that done, we will go ahead and do a roll call. We'll start with Allie Jones.
Allie Jones.
Thank you. Deborah Jensen.
Deborah Jensen, no conflicts.
Russell Phillips. We'll maybe give Commissioner Phillips a minute. We'll circle back. Commissioner Lisa Jensen.
Lisa Jensen, no conflicts.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Daniel Gonzalez, no conflicts.
Commissioner Urquiaga.
Laurie Urquiaga, no conflicts.
Commissioner Knutson.
Robert Knudsen, no conflict.
Thank you. I'm Dave Anderson, and I have no conflicts. And we'll go back. Is Commissioner Phillips with us?
I am. Russell Phillips, I have no conflicts.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we're just missing Commissioner Henry tonight. And we'll dive right in. Item number one, I read it in just a moment ago. Again, it's a concept plan approval request for an 8-lot residential subdivision located at 950 West, 1020 South, and we'll turn the time over to Dustin Wright.
All right, thank you. And if it's all right, I'll discuss both items 1 and 2 together.
Thank you.
All right, so these two applications that we're looking at in items 1 and 2 are located here, approximately 950 West, 1020 South. Highlighted here in red, and here's kind of an aerial image showing the property. So it's a large parcel. There's one home, an older home on the property, and they've submitted a concept plat to subdivide this property into 8 single-family residential lots. As you can see here, staff has reviewed the concept plan and compared it to the zone that they're requesting, the R17 zone, and determined, that it would be able to comply with the requirements for lot sizes in that proposed zone. One reason why they're proposing the R17 as opposed to R18 is because of the corner lots. As you can see, there's these 2 corner lots here. The R18 zone would require that, or all the corner lots have to be 10 feet wider than the rest. And so if it were R18 zone, instead of 80-foot wide lots, they'd have to be 90 feet on the corner. And there just wasn't enough width to be able to get these lots to work under that. Although all the lots are above 8,000 square feet, and they would technically meet all the other requirements in the R18 zone. The only reason the request for the R17 is just to be able to make that work on those corner lots. The R17 zone has a slightly smaller lot width requirement, and so these will be able to comply at 80 feet wide, which is what the interior lots would be in the R18 zone. There is, like I said, an existing home on the property that would have to be removed as it kind of straddles where these new lot lines would be. So that would be one thing that would be included as a condition of approval for the concept plan, is that home be removed. I'll move on here to kind of go over the general plan map. This is that area that we were just looking at, highlighted right there. The general plan map shows this area as an infill for residential. And so what's being requested would fit with the general plan map, and there wouldn't be a need to have any type of amendment there. The zoning map, again, here's the property that we're looking at. It's currently in the RA, or residential agricultural zone, and it's surrounded by that same zone on these sides, and then on the other sides around the property, it's the R18 zone. And like I mentioned earlier, the R17 zone that they're requesting is basically just those 2 corner lots. Otherwise, everything complies with the R18 zone, which it's surrounded by on these other sides. Staff doesn't have any concerns with the R17 zone in that they wouldn't be able to get any additional lots from that. This is pretty much maximizing what acreage they have there to do that. So there's no concerns with approving it, and then more lots coming in. So staff's recommendation for item 1 would be to approve it with that condition I mentioned, to have the existing home removed prior to the plat being recorded and approved. And on item number 2, on the rezone, that the Planning Commission would forward a positive recommendation to the City Council for the rezone of the property from RA to R17. And I'd be happy at this time to field any questions that you might have.
Mr. Wright, thank you. Commissioner Urquiaga.
Yes, this is more of a comment than a question. But Dustin, I am much more in favor of going with the R17 than trying to do R18 and then request a variance for that particular option. I think that decision is good in this particular case, and don't see any reason to be unfavorable about it at this point. Unfavorable about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Urquiaga. Any other questions for Mr. Wright about items 1 or 2, Commissioner Lisa Jensen?
I just wanted to follow up on what Laurie said. Is the area to the south of the RA zone, is that also R18? Are we just creating a little pocket here, or is there a zoning map that you can show us that goes further out? The reason I'm asking is because I just worry that we're going to create, even though this is within what the general plan says, I worry that we're going to create a patchwork of zoning spots depending on what the development is instead of a greater vision for potential use. So I just wanted to think that through.
Yeah, I don't have that pulled up here, but yeah, there's R110 and R18 generally in this area, and RA kind of as you move south.
Because I know that we're not worried that this particular project is going to do something that's more intense than what they're asking for. But I just worry about setting a precedent and just going smaller and smaller lot sizes all the way through if that's maybe not what they want, or maybe that is what the general plan intended.
Yeah, I mean, any of those properties they would have to come through the same review process. And so if they were requesting smaller lots than what made sense for the area, then I think that could be addressed on those.
Okay.
I don't see any other hands. So we will go ahead then, as the applicant with us tonight.
Yes, we're right here. Yes. Under Jenny
you.
Crookston's name.
Do you guys have anything to add?
Sorry. No, just pretty simple. This one's a simple one for us. So we just making some single family homes there that are pretty comparable to the other homes that'll be around it. So.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Urquiaga.
Thank you. Jenny, do you have, are you planning to build the homes or sell the lots and allow the purchasers to build custom homes, or a combination of that?
It's a combination. We have a builder that is under contract that is wanting to build all 8 of them. One of them will start out as a spec, and then they'll build the other 7 with it.
Okay, thank you.
Raised hand, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing then. We'll do that for items 1 and 2. Is there anybody with us tonight? Can staff help us identify anybody that might want to speak to these items?
There are no callers at the moment. Dustin, can you move it to the public comment page? Fine. Give it 30 seconds.
Just while we're waiting for that, I'll just also note that there was a neighborhood meeting held for this, looks like back in October, and I didn't receive any updates or issues that came from that.
No public comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. We will close the public hearing for the evening then and turn the discussion back to the Planning Commission. Commissioner Urquiaga.
Yes, thank you again. I would like to ask the applicant what their experience was at the public meeting.
Yeah, the public meeting, we had a very good turnout with almost every single neighbor available that this would affect. They had some concerns, not concerns, but they asked if we could make that a dead end instead of a through road. We explained that we needed to match the master plan and how the roadways went and followed the city. So, but they were okay with it because we were only doing 8 homes, a smaller amount of homes. One individual asked us to actually build duplexes there instead of single family homes. And I said, well, we're doing single family homes for it, that the city wasn't on board for duplexes at that time to make 16 units there. And then the only other concerns, one individual had a concern about his fence, wanted to make sure that we wouldn't affect that fence or change his fence. And I assured him that we would not, that our fence would just abut next to his. And then one other individual wanted to make sure that we knew about a past dried up well as a possibility that was handled. And I said, yes, that was in our survey of that we'd be handling that. So overall, those were the basic comments that we talked about in the neighborhood meeting. And like I said, weren't too many concerns, just wanting to know more about the product.
Thanks again.
I don't see any other hands raised. I'm just going to point out something that I might be the only person that thinks this is really, really neat, but I'll go there anyway. Mr. Wright, can you go back to, I think it's the first image that you showed. It's attachment 2 in the staff report. Yeah, so I don't know if it's that one you had up just a second ago. Yeah, thank you. I love how this illustrates how differently streets are being developed in Provo now as compared to how they were developed at some point in the past when the property to the north was developed. As you can see, what I think is the curb line and just how much less asphalt is being built now for a street like this, which I think is probably one of the more important things that can happen to make a street feel like it's really a residential type neighborhood and just a comfortable place to be. So I appreciate the way that that image again just sort of helps demonstrate that. But otherwise, I don't have any comments. I don't see any other hands raised. Guess I will mention that I love seeing more lots for single family homes in Provo. Maybe one question for staff. What's the threshold for being able to have an accessory apartment? Is it more of a zoning issue? Is it a lot size issue? Would any of these lots, if it were zoned either R18 or R17, does that matter in terms of being able to have an accessory apartment with any of the homes here?
So it would have to have the overlay for an accessory apartment to attach to the zone. So for example, it would have to be like R17A.
Okay.
A accessory unit.
But potentially at some point in the future that could happen still, regardless of whether it's R17 or R18.
Yeah, if the city changed it so that single family could have an accessory as a use allowed there, then they could do that as well.
Gotcha. I'm kind of feeling like we might be ready to go with Commissioner Jensen, Lisa Jensen.
I know you were hoping I was ready to make a motion, but before I actually have no problems with this project. So this is more just, I don't want to lose the opportunity to discuss this as a planning issue. The same thing I said before. Is there anything wrong with us rezoning this RA section in little pieces like this instead of anticipating how it might develop out and rezoning it in larger pieces? I just don't want to end up with a patchwork zoning map that looks like there was no thought put into it.
So you're referring to this specific property, or you're kind of looking at the general area here and asking if that R17 or R18 zone should be applied more broadly?
Maybe a little bit of both. Yes, I'm looking at this specific property saying I have no problem with this request. But if I do that, and there's R18 to the north, and the next project comes in and they want to do R17, and then the next project wants to come in and do R16, do we gradually, just create this weird mess of a map, or is that how it's intended to unfold? I just have never rezoned property that we've got this large chunk of RA that's been designated as, yeah, we want this to infill. So we're looking at having requests periodically throughout the future to rezone this, and they're all going to be to a higher density than RA most likely. So do we want to talk about that as we have this first request so that we have an image for that, or do we let that unfold piece by piece?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the general plan's purpose is to show, generally what these areas are intended to be in the future. And so this small area, like you saw on the general plan map, is, calling for infill. If you really look at it, there's not a lot of vacant land in that spot. This section right here really is the vacant land opportunity for infill in that specific location. So I understand your concern. I don't see it playing out that way here, just because there's not a lot of vacant land like there is on the applicant's parcel.
Awesome, thank you.
One of the things that made staff feel more comfortable about this is that although it's an R17 zone, the lot sizes are very similar to what's to the north. In fact, they're essentially the same as what the subdivision to the north, the street that this continues. So based on that, we felt like the zone designation wasn't as big a deal or as relevant as the lot sizes and how that compares to the lots around it.
I agree. I'm just always worried about how it looks on paper, so someone interprets it differently.
I think you raise a good point, though, because if you stand back and look at a Provo zoning map, it looks a lot like a Paisley tie, which is what you're saying you're trying to avoid, right?
Okay, I'm done with my rabble rousing.
Does that mean you're ready to make a motion?
I will happily make a motion that will make you stop shaking in your boots. I would like to make a motion for item number 1 that we approve item number 1, which is Amy Johnson requests concept plan approval for an 8-lot residential subdivision located at 950 West, 1020 South in a proposed R17 zone in the Sunset neighborhood.
Thank you, Commissioner
I will
Jensen.
second.
We have a motion, and that was Commissioner Urquiaga with a second. Just a question on the motion. There was one recommended condition that staff had relative to the existing home being removed. Any thoughts about that?
Yes, to include that recommendation that the existing home be removed prior to the plat being recorded and approved.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Urquiaga. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the second stands for item number 1. That is, that was a motion to approve, correct? Is that our action, staff, to approve, not to recommend approval?
Yes, item 1 will be recommend or to approve it, and then item 2 is a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So motion to approve item number 1, the proposed concept plan for an 8-lot residential subdivision located at 950 West, 1020 South, with the condition that was proposed by staff. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, if not, we will do a roll call. We'll start with Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen. It's Deborah Jensen.
Aye.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Lisa Jensen.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Urquiaga.
Aye.
Commissioner Knutson.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion carries 8-0. On to item number 2. Any additional discussion on this item, or is someone inclined to make a motion?
I would be happy to make a motion.
Commissioner Urquiaga, thank you.
Yes, I recommend that we forward the zone change request to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. For Amy Johnson requests a zone change from residential agricultural to R17 for approximately 1.8 acres located at 950 West, 120 South in the Sunset neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. That was Commissioner Knutson. Any discussion on the motion?
I just want to clarify that it's 1020 South, not 120 South.
Oh, did I say 120? Sorry. Yes, it is 1020 South.
Thank you.
Dave, could I say something?
Absolutely.
I was concerned about the idea that they have an existing well that has apparently gone dry.
Okay.
Is their plan to remove the casing so water never could come up there again?
Boy, that's a great question. I don't know if applicant or staff.
To respond.
Please.
So it's, yeah, our civil engineers have already taken into account that, and we're going to be, I don't know if it's dried up or if it's not in use. Anyway, the civil engineers have taken count of that, and we already have that in our groundwork of handling it. They're doing the same. They had to do the same in the LDS church just down the road from this. So we're following those same factors.
But explain to us how they're going to keep the water from, in a wet year, from that well, again, generating water. What was
the civil engineers said that they were planning on capping it. It is in the road of where it's placed for it. So
yeah, maybe I could address that for you, Russell. This is David Day with Public Works. What we do with old wells is they have to be capped to a standard. Normally you put bentonite down into the casing far enough down that it seals it off. Then you have one of the state engineer's office come and they inspect that, and then they remove that well from their records once it's been sealed off. So it's a pretty good process, and I don't know of any time where I've seen one once it's taken care of like that come and surface back and cause any problems. So it's been a pretty good process.
I assume if it's going to be in the road, the city's fairly concerned about that. Would you say, Mr. Day? Making sure that it.
Yeah, we like to keep the water features in the parks and not in the roads.
Any other discussion on item number 2? we have a motion. And I believe it was Commissioner Knutson, correct, that seconded the motion?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Had to reset there. Don't see any other hands raised, so we'll go ahead and do the roll call. Back to Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Deborah Jensen.
Aye.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Lisa Jensen.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Knutson.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Once again, it's 8-0. And I believe that
I also
concludes.
vote aye.
Did I leave you off?
Didn't call
How did I
him.
do that?
So now it's 8-0.
Thank you for letting me get corrected there, helping me get corrected there. So Commissioner Urquiaga votes aye as well. That's 8-0. I believe that's all that we have for the agenda. Does staff have anything else, or commissioners, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss tonight?
I'll just say I'm amazed, and this is a great thing.
I sort of feel like it's earned. Not pushing that 9 o'clock threshold, you know?
I'd love to make a motion to adjourn.
Please.
Consider that my motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
That was Commissioner Gonzalez with the second, Commissioner Jensen with the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Certainly none. Boy, thanks everybody. What a wonderful way to start 2021. And I assume we'll see everybody back in a couple weeks.
See y'all.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks.
Good night.